Hello, it's Amy, and I'm here with the Journal of Emily Shore for what will be the final and last time as we wrap up the extra things enclosed in the back of the book here. We have extracts from Emily's poetry written by her between the years 1833 and 1838. So let's begin. This is a fragment from something that she titled Autumn. The haughty orb of light that ruled the clouds and bade them fly, his fierceness gentler drives his fiery car. Each time the hour of darkness grim comes on, with longer stay in other worlds below, he cheats our land of day. The bounding morn springs up and wakes him in a misty fold. He wraps his brow and long denies the warmth of genial sun in summer. Look around. A gloomy pall has changed the woods of grey. Heavy and stagnant is the air. No breeze rises to waft the veil, the traveller's breath. Oppressing, look again, the luminous orb has melted all, it passes slow away, and welters every wreath of green foliage, and tangled wood and fence and upland knoll, and every mossy tuft and silken grass in thickest dew. And that one is dated November 1833, 13 years and 11 months old. And the next excerpt is titled Epitaph on a Tame Jackdaw Frozen to Death. Here, where the old grey pine trees wave their withered arms with groaning sound, we dug a favourite's humble grave, and piled his scarce ascending mound. Wouldst thou his name, his kindred know? The one his own rude language told, the other? Lift thine eyes and view, where the airy throng their pastime hold. Like them the garb of night he wore, glossed with the violet's purple hue, save where, like theirs, his young head bore what seemed of age the early snow. Beneath his jetty brows peered forth two serious eyes of dull pale grey, which cast, whene'er he mused, to earth, gazed many a silent hour away. 2 years beneath the ash tree's shade, near ours, was fixed his humble home. Our fondness watched him, bounty fed, our care denied him power to roam. But when his pinions bright and long regained their native strength, we knew his doubted gratitude, how strong, his untried heart, how firm and true. No bound nor limit now had power to change nor check his joyous flight. Yet at our windows hour by hour to rest was still his first delight. To him was human voice denied, yet still in converse, strange he sought to pour abroad in rapid tide his heart that overflowed with thought. Oh, could we but those thoughts discern, what now can never be expressed, those secret passions could we learn, now buried in his mouldering breast. But vain that wish, no common link unites to ours the brutal mind. It is not theirs like us to think, it is not ours their thoughts to find. Yet how we ever loved to mark the grave delight his eye expressed, how oft upon his countenance dark calm mockery seemed to us to rest. We laughed to see it, no more now. His name lights up in the smile of mirth, in bitter winter's midnight hour. He kissed in death the frozen earth. His lifeless form with many a sigh we lifted from his frost-gemmed bed, took a last look with saddened eye, then his loved relics here we laid. And that one is dated December 1836, just 17. And the next excerpt here is called New Words to Beneath the Cypress Gloomy Shade. And I do wonder if Beneath the Cypress Gloomy Shade is in reference to something else, and that's why it's called New Words, but regardless, we will read this little fragment aloud. Beneath the cypress's gloomy shade, deep in a still and leafy glade, in peace my grey-haired sire is laid, to wake on earth no more. None knows save I his quiet tomb. Each morn with saddened heart I come and gaze upon his narrow home, till grief's full cup runs o'er. And that one is dated January the 12th, 1837, just 17 years old. And our next excerpt of poetry is titled To the Willow Wren, written at Exeter. Thou warbler of the woodland stream, sweet minstrel of the willow bough, like music in a fairy dream, falls on mine ear thy carol now. Ah, well that joyous song I know, those notes that seem to laugh with glee. Ah yes, I list thy music now, sweet warbler of the willow tree. How often happy days passed o'er, days of delight that are no more, in morn's first solitude, have I stood in the groves of Woodbury, breathless to hear thy earliest note on the soft gales of April float. Hour after hour unmarked has flown. Well, I have watched thee all alone, dancing so light from spray to spray, as scarce to shake the dew away, that the pale willow boughs among from all the golden tassels hung. And I have strained my eager eye to see thee flutter fearless by, and noiseless as a butterfly, light on the cathalsus blooming tuft, that springs mid the pure streamlet's bed, with touch so gentle, wing so soft, that not a blossom bows its head, and unbent in each pale green stem, and motionless each golden gem, I've stood the hawthorn bough beneath, where bluebells wild perfume the shade, and many a fragrant primrose wreath, the old and hoary stumps arrayed, and I have hardly dared to breathe, or part my lips, or turn my head. Well, I have watched thy swelling throat, and listened to thy laughing note, no note more liquid, clear, and gay, in Whitewood wakes the April day. No lighter wing, no gentler eye haunt the greener boughs of Woodbury. And that one is dated April 29, 1837. And the next one is titled Homesickness. A homesick exile here I pine. My heart it aches, my heart it aches. What blissful dreams each night are mine. What happy sleep each morning breaks. I'm sated now with other joys. I'm tired to hear the daily voice of other friends I loath to see, sights too familiar now to me. Canst thou not waft me, eastern gale, one word from those I love so well? One word from Woodbury, let me hear one single word that's spoken there. No, ye sweet sounds of home, in vain, I hope to hear you once again. And that is marked as May and July of 1837. So perhaps those verses or stanzas were written on separate occasions, but I rather like that one, that idea of being in a place that's not home to you, and just, sitting or standing and listening to the wind and the sounds around you, and almost wishing that somewhere in that breeze, somewhere in that, silent nature, you're going to hear the whisper of a voice of a loved one. So yeah, I like that one quite a lot. The next one here is called Woodbury. Would that once more I've often sighed, as in my childhood's hours 'twere given, ere morn had yet unfolded wide her rosy wings o'er earth and heaven, once more to seek the hazel shade, where, all in bridal white arrayed, their thousand flowers, half hid between thick waving leaves of dewy green, a soft moist carpet of perfume, the wild wood's fragrant lilies bloom. Oh, for one laughing morn of May, when all was beautiful and gay, when, far from human sound or sight, I sought my chamber's quiet height. There would my spirit wander free o'er study's deep enchanted sea, pausing at times to rest awhile, in rapture on some magic isle. And still, the open casement through, gales redolent of roses blue, and of 1,000 warblers still, the well-known notes my soul would thrill. Oh, for one blazing hour of June, when, in the silent, sultry noon, with couch and chair and table spread, we sought the garden's cool green shade, where the light beach of copper hue, stained o'er with odorous honeydew, mixed with the trembling feathery screen, the acacia spread of foliage green, and the tall pine whose slender stem upheld a shadowy diadem, and the old ash that wept hard by, whose leafy branches from on high drooped in one gorgeous canopy. Would that once more with pen and book I might behold that quiet nook, and stop at times with curious eye to watch the sphinx that darted by, with arrowy flight and humming sound from flower to flower the garden round, or to descry with upward glance the busy silent golden wren, to see it midst the foliage dance, unheard and save by me unseen. Oh, for one calm September even, when I have thought, which I have thought was dropped from heaven, so still that I could almost hear the rose leaves as they softly fell. So lucid all the atmosphere, I could each glistening dewdrop tell. Scarce yet had passed the long twilight, and yet the moon shone full and bright. Where she shone, the turf below gleamed radiant like a pall of snow. High up in air, each feathery spray was silvered with her steady ray. Well, their black shadows 'neath them lay in many a shape fantastic, drawn distinctly on the shaven lawn. The wakeful robin had not yet ceased from his vesper warble sweet. The earliest bat was flitting past the bush in which he sang his last, and in the air his lingering note was mingled with the owl's first hoot, that wave of melancholy sound which trembling rolled the garden round, the laurel hedge, its entrance arch, the massy pines, the feathery larch, tall elms and spicy walnut trees, and the thick clustering shrubberies, and whitewood, and the copse between, and flowery limes and paddock green. Oh, that I might but say farewell to woods and fields I loved so well. And that was written on in March of 1838. And we do have an author's note here, noting that a few lines back when she mentions to watch the sphinx. By sphinx, she meant the hummingbird hawk moth. And the next one we have here is titled Fragments in Illness and Dejection. I am not now as once I was. My hours of health and strength are o'er, and day by day I slowly pass, thither whence I must come no more. The breath of life comes all too fast, and quick and painfully to last, and on my cheek the frequent flush is deeper than the natural blush. There is a languor in my mind, there is a dullness in my sprite. In former things I cannot find my former interest and delight, the book, the pencil, and the pen, to revel in poetic bowers, to watch each bird in bush and glen, to trace the butterflies and flowers. These charm no more. I pass them by with faltering step and wearied eye. I fly to solitude, and there, alone, would come to God in prayer. But this cold egg of the heart, the soul too oft will not depart, and a dead, cheerless, joyless calm is all to me of quiet's balm. Harsh falls a footstep on my ear, or echo of a human voice. It rudely knocks my heart to hear, my sick, faint heart that ne'er replies. Methinks none e'er hath sung the state of mine that is most desolate, and without outward sorrow born, most sadly, hopelessly forlorn. A mind that like some plant is grown too fast with vigour not its own, sprung from too glowing soil, and fed with fancy's dew too thickly shed, or wrought, excited, 'twas at length too full of blossom for lasting strength. Then on it blew the world's hot breath that smelt of pestilence and death. It could not last, and see it now, how fast the leaves are withering all. The flowers have lost their early glow, and one by one around thee fall. Yes, on thy rainbow-coloured sprite there is a dull and darkening blight. Thy mind has worn thy health away, and now it feels its own decay. Things pass it now unchecked as air, which once had touched a lodestone there. Oh, better far and slow sure growth, twixt too much ardour, too much sloth. Better the steady mind should wait, and blossom well though blossom late, and thus keep strength and juice to feed to ripeness fruits that should succeed. And that one is labeled 1838. And so there seems to be that idea there that her declining and ill health was perhaps caused in some part, or at the very least exacerbated, by her love of study and her love to exercise her mind. And we did see that in some of her journal entries from around the age of 15 to 17, where she mentions this idea that she exerted her mind too much, and it had an ill effect on her health. And I think that was somewhat of a common view at the time that she lived, wrote, and died. So we have one more here. We are on the final page, the final fragment of her poetry. And this one is called "Affection is the Best Part of Life." Yes, as the perfume to the rose, so to our life is love. It lives when every beauteous colour goes, and round the withered stem survives. O name too oft abused, misplaced, by folly seized, to folly bound. Thy stream of silver sound they waste, who guide it through that weedy ground. Why should that name on poet's page flow only through that one wild grove, where through our various pilgrimage 'tis ours so short a time to rove? Nay, rather, love, be thou a river that fertilizes all our years, flows deepening on and flows forever, through and beyond this vale of tears. 1838. And there we go. That is the end of the Journal of Emily Shore. And we just have a note back here that says this book was printed by William Clowes and Sons Limited in London and Beccles. And so this was the 1891 first edition of the Journal of Emily Shore, the diary of a young woman living in 1830s Great Britain. And I greatly enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. Thank you so much if you've enjoyed this entire series. And I guess now that we're done, it'll be time to pick a new book to begin reading aloud here. I'll see you all next time.